Yes, y'all. What is going on, guys? It is I, High Tech, your favorite Unk. So I am in my office right now, so a little bit of different scenery here, but I have some time and I have really been enjoying some Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater from way back in the day on the PS2. And as I'm going through this game, I'm realizing just like how amazing this remake is. Not just the game itself, but the remake and the job well done that they've done in using the Unreal Engine 5 for the graphics and just the gameplay adjustments and everything about it is just so like it's blowing my mind quite literally. So as I'm playing this game and I'm going down memory lane, it's got me thinking and trying to remember what other games have I played that have blown my mind. So I've been thinking about it and I've been making a list and just researching and trying to go through my memory banks and looking for certain games that blew my mind, and I came up with a top 5 list of games that have blown my mind. So let's get right into it. I made a top 5 list of games that sent my nuts straight into orbit, never to be seen ever again. So what is mind-blowing, you might ask? My definition of mind-blowing would be games that really just took it from here and they went like there or here or just, you know what I mean? Like they just really sent it over the edge, really next level with graphics, with gameplay, with storytelling, with all of it. Just something that really changed me as a person or influenced me and my tastes as a person and just showed me what games could truly be if done properly. So that is my definition of mind-blowing. I will give you guys a list of criteria in which I'm going to rank these games so that way there's no confusion or I'm pissing people off, which I'm going to piss you off. So if you're in the right place, if you want to get pissed off, here we are. So my first condition on how I'm ranking these games is just that, how I'm ranking them, okay? It's going to be 5 being the lowest and then 1 being the best. I'm going to rank them on how the experience affected me as a person. Not necessarily based on, oh, the graphics were really, really good, or these were the best graphics I've ever seen, or this the coolest, the most smoothest gameplay I've ever played. It's going to be based on the experience and how it felt for me when I first experienced that. So that is my first condition right there. My second condition is that it has to be a game that I have played personally. So while I recognize that a lot of people are going to put Red Dead 2, Breath of the Wild, I can't put those games on because I have not played those games. So don't tell me to put them in there. I told you you're going to get mad. I told you. So yes, only games that I have played. Can't be games that I have just heard of being great. And my third and final condition is the games aren't necessarily going to be sequels, right? So it's not going to be, well, Halo 1 was this way, and so Halo 2 is just like better because it's Halo 2. It doesn't have to be a sequel. It could be the first time I experienced Halo, or it could be the first time I experienced the first-person genre as a whole, right? It's just based on the experience and how, and when I played that game pretty much. So, not necessarily a sequel. It could be a sequel though, so there you might see a few in here. All right, now that we got that all out of the way, let's get started, guys. Coming in at number 5 is going to be Pokemon Yellow, which released on the original Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. So when I first played Pokemon Yellow, that was essentially the first time that I had ever played an RPG in my life. So I didn't know what an RPG was, okay? However, it didn't stop the game from being mind-blowing. The games that I was playing on my Game Boy at the time were things like Super Mario Land, Donkey Kong, the remake one kind of where you're playing as Mario, Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, things like that. I actually ordered this game on eBay because my friends were playing it at school at the time. I was in elementary school. I am Unk, remember that. So my friends were all playing this game, Pokemon Red, Blue, and I was told to go and check it out, get the game for myself. I bought the game. It came in the mail. I put it in my Game Boy. I turned it on, and what I experienced changed my life quite literally forever. The original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow series are really simple and straightforward games enough, but they are complex, and they were actually complex at the time. You play as a Pokemon trainer. Usually he's known as Pokemon Trainer Red, and you go on a giant adventure through the Kanto region, trying to catch them all and fill up your Pokédex and then beat all the gym leaders to collect their badges. Pretty simple and straightforward enough, right? But man, let me tell you, The amount of content in this game actually shattered my mind. I'm actually surprised that the Game Boy was able to have and contain all that on a little cartridge that's about the size of a freaking picture on my iPhone. Not only did this game have the entire Kanto region full of 8 different gyms, all with accompanying cities and giant areas to explore, optional areas to explore, NPCs all with unique dialogue, an entire battle system which had its own rock, paper, scissors style elements to it. But this game literally enabled you to catch all 151 Mons. And they all had separate moves, unique sound effects, 2 different sprite renditions, and you could level them all up to level 99 if you so wished. This game literally made you feel like Ash Ketchum from the show, going around the Kanto region and just catching any and everything that you ran into. The thrill of going into a new town, talking to new people, discovering the new side optional areas, the bonus activities like the Safari Zone and the Team Rocket Game Corner, getting a bicycle, going fishing. It was super exciting, and that's not even including the new Pokemon that would appear in the different areas. Because every time you enter a new route, a new area, a new city, a new cave, something like that, there are always new Pokemon to catch, and you never knew which ones were out there, and you never knew which ones were in your game. And that's also a part of the appeal, is that there were certain monsters in the red version, there were certain ones in the blue version, and then there were certain ones in the yellow version. And it took a lot of time and a lot of playground talk to figure out who was in what game and how to get them. And it doesn't just end there. You had to trade with your friends with a Game Link cable. That means you had to bring that shit to school and risk getting your shit taken away by the teacher just so you can get a fucking Machamp. Like, it was sick. It was so hype. It was so risky. There was a lot on the line. It was just amazing. And all of this was able to fit in your freaking pocket. That is the best part. It was in your pocket the whole time. It was with literally everywhere you went was your Pokemon adventure. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. And it was on a Game Boy cartridge. Enough cannot be said about these original Pokemon games, and maybe it's just Unk nostalgia talking, but for the time, it was actually insane what this game was able to accomplish and how much it fit, all the content it had. It was amazing, seriously. But this is number 5 for me, because there are some other games that blew my nuts into orbit a little bit harder than this one. So this is a great way to start. Pokemon Yellow, love that game. Coming in at number 4, The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion. When I saw this game was hype. This game came out pretty much with the release of the new Xbox 360, and man, this game just really showed me the power of the next generation. Truly. It's about the year 2006, 2007, sometime when I experienced this game. You know, around the time when it was relatively new. I didn't have an Xbox 360 at the time. It was my uncle's, but he got the game. I remember watching him play this game, and I was just blown away by the open world, the graphics at the time, which they did not age very well, if I'm going to be honest. But at the time, they looked really, really good, and everything just had such a look of realism and just a level of detail that was not seen on the PS2, the Xbox, and the GameCube era. Not only was the open world huge, but you could interact with virtually every character. There are what feels like 100 different quests or side quests. I'm not really sure what the total number is, but there were enough to keep you feeling like the game never ended, that's for sure. The character customization was off the charts. It's actually the first time I've ever messed with the character editor that lets you mess with things such as like the height of your cheekbones and the depth of your chin, and you can give your character like a short neck or a long neck or long ears or giant, Popeye fish eyeballs and all kinds of craziness. And it was just really, really neat. You could change the color of their skin to make them look blue or black and just random different colors. And you were able to pick different races like the Argonians and, just a regular Nord or a high elf. And it was just, the customization was honestly out of this world. And that's not even including the equipment side of things. The gear was also really, really cool. Hundreds actually of different weapons, armors, and different accessories to really bring your character to life. Combine that with the class and a leveling system that was a little bit different for what I was used to at the time. And man, this game was a banger, that is for sure. It's also one of the first times where I played an open world RPG game. It's actually let me go back. It's actually the first time I played any Bethesda game for that matter. But it was the first time that I had seen a game like that had really cool combat. I mean, it's really simple in today's gaming landscape, but the combat was cool and the ragdoll physics were hilarious. I think that was kind of like a funny selling point for me, oddly enough, was the ragdoll physics. I'd never seen a game with physics like that, and it just made for really funny and hilarious and at the time kind of realistic looking reactions. Being able to go essentially anywhere on this map and just discover numerous caves and little secluded dwellings full of creatures, side quests, or even a rare piece of equipment was super exciting every time I played. This game was the introduction of an open world RPG game that never seemed to end, that you could play over and over and over and have an entirely different experience every single time. And plus, it's given us legendary moments such as,
"Sweet, sweet skooma, give it here, give it here."
And of course,
"Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence."
Coming in at number 3, we are going back to another open world game. This time, it is going to be Grand Theft Auto 3 on the PlayStation 2. Alright guys, this game, of course, had to be on here. Maybe not the Grand Theft Auto you were thinking of, but Grand Theft Auto has to be on here. Now, I am not the biggest Grand Theft Auto fan these days. However, when I first discovered Grand Theft Auto, it was a different story and a different time. Grand Theft Auto 3 was actually my introduction to the PlayStation 2, believe it or not. I distinctly remember coming home one time and just walking into my parents' room, and my dad was playing a game that I had never seen before. It was all in 3D. It was an open world game in like a big city, and he's just driving around and doing all kinds of shenanigans, and it was on a console that I had also never seen before in my life. So I had a lot of questions, namely, what the heck are you playing and what are you playing this thing on? My dad told me that it was a game called Grand Theft Auto 3, and he was playing it on a console named the PlayStation 2, which was super exciting because I didn't even know there was a PlayStation 2. I knew there was a PlayStation 1 because we had a PlayStation 1, but the PlayStation 2 was news to me. So my mind was blown kind of twice. I got a double banger on this one. So I'm sitting here watching my dad play this game, and it just seems to be a typical, just a open world kind of game, and just driving around and doing stuff, although it was in 3D, which was really, really cool. But it seemed to be like he could go almost anywhere and do almost anything, which was really, really new and groundbreaking at the time. So then my dad finishes playing up, and then he asked if I want to play, and I said, yeah, sure, why not? Thinking nothing of it, really. Just another game, another 3D game, and I get the controller, and then I start driving around, and I just run over all the people on the sidewalk, and I stopped what I was doing, and I kind of sat and reflected on what I had just done, almost as if I had actually run over real life people on the sidewalk. And I thought to myself, like, dude, so I just hit people, and normally you can't do that in games, especially if they're not like enemy characters. So then I decided to take it a little further, and I found a baseball bat, and I just walked up to another random person, an old lady this time, and I just proceeded to swing on her and just beat the shit out of her. And this lady was dead. This lady was gone. This lady was looking like wet dog food, all right? And I had another moment, and I reflected on myself again. I said, I really just got a bat, and I just took this old lady away from existing. I just did that, and nothing happened. And I was able to, and I just willy-nilly. So then I thought I had another idea. I said, hey, there are police officers wandering around here. What if I hit one of them? Will something happen if I hit the police officer? So I go and I put some hands on the police officer. Immediately jumps up to a 2-star wanted rating, which was also new for me at the time. Now I'm being chased by the police, and I'm thinking, holy shit, I am going to jail. Like actual literal jail. If anybody finds out what I have done, I am being put away forever. Like, I'm getting locked up like Akon. Now I'm flying through Liberty City and, you know, these guys are chasing after me just nonstop. I'm crashing into everything. The car is getting dented. And then I'll eventually, you know, my car is smoking. It catches on fire. It explodes. More people die. Now there's 3 stars on me. And then, you know, there's more police officers. We're getting up to, you know, 4. There's helicopters. And I could not believe what was going on. And the fact that I'm on this high-speed chase, you know, on foot and in a vehicle was just like, what the hell is going on? I'm living out my best criminal life on this PlayStation 2 thingamajig, whatever this is. And my mom has no idea. My mom doesn't even know. And that's when it dawned on me that I was in a new era of video games. It was quite amazing. I will say that. If you were there for the dawn of Grand Theft Auto 3 and the open world sandbox genre from that point, let me tell you, it was a freaking treat. I don't really think number 3 needs much explanation, to be honest, because if you've played Grand Theft Auto, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, mind you, Grand Theft Auto is probably the most popular game on planet Earth aside from Call of Duty or Fortnite. So we do take these things for granted nowadays, especially the younger gamers. But dude, just the fact that you could run down the street and push triangle on any car in the road and you could just punch them in the face, rip them out, and then just start jamming down the street and changing the radio station to whatever you want to listen to, then crash the car into a hooker, steal her money, and then go and kill the police and do all that, and you haven't even done the first mission of the game is actually insane. It is actually crazy. The amount of things that you were able to do, the freedom you had in Grand Theft Auto 3 was ballistic. This game really set the bar for the gaming landscape as a whole. And of course, it's still in effect to this day. I mean, we got Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out, and it's already anticipated to be probably the greatest video game launch ever. Quite literally ever. I'm just going to put it out there right now. It's going to be the biggest thing on planet Earth. And there's a good reason for it. Grand Theft Auto 3 gets a nice number 3 for me for being able to do whatever the hell you want to do. Everything except for swimming. I don't know why, but you just can't swim. They can't give you too much power now. You know what I mean? Coming in at my number 2 is going to be Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Listen, guys, I have a lot of things to say about this game, but I'm going to try and keep it concise and get straight to the point, okay? I obviously opened up talking about this game in the intro to this video, so of course it has to make it on the list somewhere. But man, this game quite literally changed my life. I discovered Metal Gear Solid just as a series at a really crucial time in my life. I had just finished high school, and it's in that weird transition period where, you know, you're not quite a kid anymore, but you're not like a full-fledged adult. And it's almost like finishing the tutorial section of the game, and it's like, all right, now you're playing the actual game, and I'm not going to hold your hand anymore. You know, it's kind of like the Virtuous mission, actually, if you think about it. So really lost in the sauce, kind of confused on what my role is as a person and what to really do with my life. And to help me through that, I found Metal Gear Solid 3. At this point in time, Metal Gear Solid has already been a established banger of a series for about, what year was it? This was around 2010 when I discovered it. So at this point in time, Metal Gear Solid had been around for a good 12 years already, which is a long time. So I was a little bit late to the party, but I'm glad I went to the party nonetheless. I had never really been a fan of the stealth genre. I played Splinter Cell, and I wasn't really enjoying it too much. I preferred, you know, fast-paced action games where you just get to go and just beat things up and run over hookers, take their money, and fight Pokemon and that kind of thing, right? So I borrowed Metal Gear Solid 3 from my uncle, and I played it on my PS2 because I had heard that it was a really, really good game. And I kind of felt a little bit of FOMO because I know I had some friends that had mentioned it and talked about it, and it had just been established as one of those games that's like, this is a must-play game for any PS2 owner, and you need to try it. So I tried it out, and man, what I got was just one of the best times of my life. This game is a big nostalgia fest for me. But not only is it a big nostalgia fest, it's just a big feel fest in general. Like if I had to carry an emotion with me into battle like one of the Cobra unit soldiers, I would be called the Feel, because that is what this game does to me. It makes me feel. This is the first time I had ever been introduced to the character known as Snake. This is Naked Snake. This is the original Snake, not Solid Snake, the one found in Metal Gear Solid. So I get to learn what this guy is all about. I get to experience his attitude, his cool voice done by the legendary David Hayter. I got to experience legendary characters such as Revolver Ocelot, The Boss, and of course Eva. Oh, Eva! Damn! This game was not your regular stealth game. This game puts you in the freaking jungle with nothing. The whole point of the game is that you're a CIA operative and you're sneaking into the Soviet Union. You're in Russia and you have nothing with you. That's why he's called Naked Snake. He has nothing. All he has is a stupid little tranquilizer gun and a knife, and that's all you have. That's it. You gotta get everything else. You gotta get all your weapons. You gotta get that. All your food. You gotta hunt that. You gotta kill animals. You gotta freaking stab snakes and then shoot parrots and then eat them and then piss off this old guy, and then he starts running at you and shooting at you, and he's in a wheelchair, and then his eyes come out, and then this other guy's like a spider, and he's like, Sophia! And then Eva comes in, and then she's unzipping her jacket, and she's crawling on the floor, and then Snake is like, ah! And then I'm like, ah! And then Revolver's spinning his guns, and he's hitting the bees, and it's just like, so stupid, it's so dumb, and it's very Tarantino-esque. And honestly, it could not have been any cooler at the time. But aside from the really cool characters, the wacky storyline, and just the fun little charm that it has to it, this game actually got me interested in history. But man, it was really interesting to just pretty much watch this cinematic masterpiece of a game. Very, like I said, very Tarantino-like, but it's a video game and it's talking about history, and it made me really interested in just kind of the events of war and Cold War and just how all that worked and politics. I'm not a political guy by any means, but man, it was really interesting. I'm sitting here watching these cutscenes, and before I recognize it, I watched a cutscene that was 30 minutes long, and I was totally fine with it. And you know, I haven't even started playing the game yet, and I'm already 30 minutes in, and it's a short film, and I had fun, and you learn a lot, and I got really interested in the storyline and the characters and the emotional weight that this game kind of, you know, has and bears. And it was just such a journey, an actual journey, a real movie that you get to play through and experience. And it was just, wow, it was a cacophony of a lot of different feelings, and this game is really, really good. I cannot state enough how impactful this game has been on me, on my life, my tastes, and just everything. This game is really, really good. And Metal Gear Solid Delta, the remake, is even better. It's been able to capture that essence, those feelings, that lightning in a bottle of magic that I felt when I was 18 years old, and now I'm 33 and I'm going through the same thing again, but it's almost, you know, done better, or it's done in a way that I thought it felt initially, and it's been such a treat. Metal Gear Solid has become one of my favorite game series ever, and it's because of this game. I had never played Metal Gear Solid 1. I'd never played Metal Gear Solid 2, which also got really high acclaim, but wow, this game's amazing.
You're pretty good. Pretty good.
And coming in at number 1, the game that blew my mind the most out of all these other games is going to be Resident Evil 1 Remake. Guys, aside from fighting games, Resident Evil is my favorite game series of all time. Guys, I can give you an entire video essay on all the things that I love about Resident Evil, but we're going to keep it down to just this one game. This one game being Resident Evil 1, the remake for the Nintendo GameCube. So just to start it off, this game introduced the concept of a remake to me. I didn't know what a remake was. I was about 10 or 11 years old when this remake came out, and I had played the first one, so I had the reference. I was able to see the jump, you know, from the original to the remake. And when I saw this game for the first time, I was very confused as to what I was looking at. I knew it was a new Resident Evil game, but I wasn't sure if it was the first one or a brand new one, because it looked just like the first one and it had the same story beats as the first one, but it looked really, really good and really, really real. And I just was very confused. So I had to ask my uncle, hey, what is this? And he says, this is the first Resident Evil game, but it's a remake. I said, a remake? What is that? And then he told me, hey, a remake is when they take something that's kind of old and then they redo it in a newer style, you know, with better technology. To this day, guys, this remake still holds up. This remake is about 20, almost 25 years old, right? And it's on some old hardware, the Nintendo GameCube of all things, and this game looks freaking beautiful. Capcom really outdid themselves with this game. Going through the entire Resident Evil 1 adventure all over again, but in this super photorealistic style and these new creepy sound effects and this really haunting music was just an experience that will stay with me until the end of time. It was really just so incredible to witness and to see it brand new and live and in the house, and I just couldn't believe it. This game was literally everything that the first one did, but times 3. It is just that good. Everything from the graphics to the controls to the gameplay to the freaking voice acting. The voice acting is really what stood out for me. Is I couldn't believe it. They weren't just being like, wow, what a mansion. He was like, damn, this is a big ass house. It's kind of scary, right? It felt real and it felt scary, like scarier than it already was. I was still a kid, mind you, when this remake came out, so I was still susceptible of, you know, feeling the effects of horror games. This game definitely delivered. Those original games were pretty scary for the time, and then seeing this was actually just like, it might as well have been VR at that point. It was that real. There's a reason why this game is touted as one of the better Resident Evils, even to this day, outside of, you know, your Resident Evil 4 and then your current remakes of today. But my goodness, I'm still at a loss for words as to what this game did for me and the effect that it had on me. And I still go back and I visit this game. I visit all the Resident Evil games, but I visit this one probably more than all of the other games because it still looks really good. It plays really good, and it's a great game. What can I say? It did what the original did, but expanded upon it, added new areas, added some new enemies, you know, a couple twists and turns in there, and just to mix it up a bit for the people that have already played the original, and you have a banging remake, like the remake of remakes. Resident Evil 1 gets the #1 spot for me. And there you have it, guys. That is my top 5 list of games that blew my mind growing up and gaming and doing all that stuff. And those games still hold up for me to this day, and they have a special spot in my heart. And of course, a lot of it is nostalgia and bias and personal opinions, but that's what all these lists are, right? But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Did these games blow your mind? I'm sure there were different games for you guys that blew your mind in a different kind of way. Let me know. Leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe for more. I like making these videos. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.